1 to the Affliction Warlock guide. In this part of the guide, it's going to be extremely boring, just going over stats and gemming and reforging, and a little talk about haste and the difference between warlock classes. If you're more interested in rotations and stuff, go ahead and check out video number 2. The good stuff is at the end. I will have it posted on that link. If you want to know everything about the warlock, then go ahead and watch this vid completely and the next vid. Please rate, comment, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, and welcome to my Affliction Warlock guide. My name is Caesar, and this is my Warlock 0. Just before we start this video, I want to share with you that this is my first video, and it may suck, and you can say it sucks, it doesn't matter, that's fine with me. I just wanted to make this video to help fellow Warlocks out there to better themselves. In this guide, I am going to go over what I know when it comes to Affliction, which is gemming, the reforging, the glyphs, the spec, rotation, what you should be doing in fights, or what I recommend you, matter of fact, what I recommend you to do in fights. Add-ons as well, and basically everything that I know of a Warlock I will try to pour into this video. Hope you enjoy. First off, we'll talk about the spec and glyphs. Well then, on with the 3 specs of a Warlock. The Warlocks have 3 specs. There's Affliction, there's Destruction, and then there's Demonology. As a 4.2, Affliction is currently the #1 single target DPS. Demonology is this #1 multi-target DPS. And Destruction is weak. Destruction is neither or, and it's actually holding people back. If you are Destruction, it is wise for you to go Affliction or Demonology, because you will excel better than Destruction. You'll be left behind if you're just Destruction. Well then, let's go on with Affliction. If you play Affliction, you want to have the 32 3x6 setup. What this is 32 points in Affliction, having everything filled out besides PvP talents such as Improved Fear, Curse of Exhaustion, and Howl of Terror. Curse of Exhaustion is more of a PvP talent. Yes, it is useful in some PvE fights, but that is why you either run a Hunter, Mage, DK, or a Rogue, or a class that slows. That is not your job. It will bring down your DPS, and if your raid officer tells you differently, then that's him. Anyway, moving on. In Demonology, you have 3 stacks of Dark Arts, increases your 400 DPS. Your pet is the best thing that has happened to you since Dots. Your pet is 1/4 for your DPS. Make sure he's always active, he's always fighting, and that he's always alive and up as best as you can. Then you have Bane, which decreases your casting time, and Shadow Flame for the crits. Now, moving on to glyphs, you should have Haunt, Corruption, and Unstable Affliction. Corruption gives you instant Shadow Bolts on chance. This decreases your casting time, and this increases the bonus damage given by Haunt. The only other thing that you probably would pick is... Actually, no, that's on the other one. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's Bane of Agony. And really, I don't use Bane of Agony much, unless I'm soul swapping, but I wouldn't give up any of these for Bane of Agony. If you're having that in your prime glyphs, I'm sorry, replace it, and you will see a DPS increase. Moving on to Majors. Soul Swap is a must. Life Tap is also a must, because reducing your Life Tap by 5 seconds, that increases your DPS because it gives you more time. And we are Warlocks, we need time, because it's called dots, damage over time. The more time we have, the more damage we give. And then we have your Shadow Bolts, which decreases your mana cost, and as a 4.2, your filler should be Shadow Bolt. Minor glyphs can be anything. Alright, then that covers both talents and glyphs. We will now move into gear. In case some of you have noticed, I do have the Curse of Exhaustion glyph, but I don't have the spell. Minor glyphs do not matter, in my opinion, because they do not increase your DPS at all. So if you want to go with Hellfauna or Ritual of Souls, it doesn't matter. Minor glyphs is whatever the hell you want it to be. Alright, the main stats for a Warlock are Intellect and a hit rating of 17%, which is 1742. If you want to raid and be serious about it, and you want to be the best that you can be, you want 17% hit. Why? Is because if you miss Haunt, for instance, It's an 8-second cooldown, increases your damage done by 23%. That means for 8 seconds, that buff that you could have had, you're not gonna have. And if you miss that too many times, you'll be left behind. So, get your 17% hit, focus about intellect. Secondary stats: Spirit, Crit, Mastery, Haste. It's different for every type of warlock. So, with that being said, an Affliction lock, they care about haste. Haste increases the amount of times your dots tick within a certain cast. For example, if I would have around 1,000 haste, my corruption in one cast time can tick about 3 times. If I have 3,000 haste, it can take about 5 times. For demonology, haste is not what matters for you, it's mastery. And I just wanted to say that, even though this is an Affliction guide, just in case one of you warlocks wanted to become demo one day, just know that your DPS might not be better than the next demos if you're not forging it to mastery, or gemming it to mastery, and chanting it to mastery. Back to Afflictions. The rule for gear, when it comes to reforging, guys, is if a gear does not have haste on it, this is what you do. If you are above hit cap, reforge that hit into haste, as long as it doesn't put you below hit cap. If it has mastery on it, that's the first thing you're looking for, mastery. That's the worst thing for you right now as an Affliction warlock. You reforge the mastery into haste, and if it doesn't have mastery but it has crit, then you can reforge the crit into haste. Example: Molten Scream has crit and hit. If I was to forge the hit, I would be under my hit cap. So I just reforged the crit into haste. Here I reforged my mastery into hit because mastery is the absolutely worst thing you can have. Now, when it comes to gemming, I gem for straight intellect. Besides, when a socket gives me about 10 or 20 intellect, I would sacrifice 10 intellect for 20 haste, because you end up with 30 intellect and 20 haste. For example, my shoulders, 10 intellect socket bonus. Instead of putting 40 haste and just gaining 10, I sacrifice 10 and I gain 20 haste, just because I want my haste so my dots can tick. Because there is a pinnacle that you do want to reach when it comes to haste, which is 30% in a 10-man raid, 25-man raid. 30% is what you want. Now, one thing that you guys need to know is enchants are very important. Power Torrent, if you have an offhand, the 40 intellect. Your glove should be 50 haste. Your bracer should be 50 intellect. I have this on my cape because I'm a tailor, which increases my intellect by 580 by 12 seconds on chance. You want 20 to stats because that's 20 intellect. You want the helm enchant from, I believe it's Hajal. You want your shoulder enchant from Therazine or whatever the hell they're called. You want the tailor enchant on your legs, which is a 95 intellect and 80 stamina. And you also want to get the iron belt buckle, which gives you another slot. And with that, like here, I'll show you. With that, this is the extra slot that I got. I got 40 more intellect. Now, when it comes to shoes, you can go with two things: 50 plus haste, and you love haste because we're Affliction, or the 35 mastery plus minor movement speed. This has been on discussion, but it's clear that because we can move faster, that's less time we spend moving, more time we have to DPS, more time that we have for our dots, which increases our DPS overall. Moving on to professions, tailoring is at the moment the best profession for a warlock just because of the intellect bonus we get from the cape. Enchanting is one of the many professions that give you 80 overall intellect, which is for enchanting to rings. But jewel crafting gives you 81 intellect, so if you want one extra intellect, roll jewel crafting. I have been tempted to go with engineering because I want to control my burst with the hands trinket, but I'll think of that another time. Now, that is the end of part 1 to the Affliction Warlock Guide. Part 2 would be posted on this clip. part 2 is everything from the pets, multi-dotting, single target DPS, AoE, rotations. If you're really interested in just knowing how to DPS, especially when it comes to multi-dotting, then you should definitely check out video number 2 and just go to the end. I'll have it linked on the next vid so you can just get to the good stuff.